Acupuncture is another treatment option that we have, especially when we're doing chiropractic work and spinal manipulation, to help the muscles and help the body to heal itself. It's one of those that it's a modality that's been around for thousands of years. And what we've done is extrapolated a lot of the work that's done in human medicine and engaged it towards the horse and their anatomy. So a lot of the meridians and the channels that we use are actually based on their nervous system and on the blood flow and circulation. So what I do with a lot of these horses as I'm adjusting them is if they have areas of tension that are just not resolving with the spinal manipulation, then I will use some needles to help improve that muscle function, and I will go through the body and see what their body is telling me. So we go through and do mapping out of each of those meridians to tell me where they're sorest. A lot of these points along the back are actually correlating with internal organs. So we can actually use some of these points to correlate. So if your horse has ulcers, maybe a little bit of inflammation in the liver, some of these points will actually help us to read that horse a little bit better internally. He's very sore over his right hip, and earlier I was able to adjust that right hip and he was very tight with circles. So this hip is actually one that will put some needles around that to help with that function. Some of them are very sensitive and don't like needles at all. So doing acupuncture can be challenging. Some of those horses, as surprising as it can be, are actually very receptive to the needles after they realize how much it helps them to relax and makes them feel good. The needles are human needles, so they're very small. Yet as we stick a needle in, what they've shown with the research is that there's a change in the tissue about the size of a quarter. And in that quarter space, there's the release of endorphins, as well as changes in blood flow, changes in ATP, and relaxation overall in that muscle. These points along this point of his hip are what we call performance points. And those points correlate with the muscles that come off of this hip and they attach right here. They're in charge of a lot of movement in the hip and can get very sore at their insertions and attachments. Whenever I'm doing the acupuncture, I always do the other side of the horse as well. And if a horse is moving around and getting agitated, I'll stop. I don't want to do too many needles on one horse. Some of them can take a lot of different needles in their different positions, but I always make sure that they're balanced. There are certain needles that we'll place that are actually placed as calming needles because of their increase in release of endorphins. And this is one of them, and you can oftentimes see the horse really relax as that starts to kick in. Again, if there's any question about whether acupuncture can help, or if there's any more information that you'd like about acupuncture, just call us and we'll be happy to answer any